Askredit by Fearless Aries. Have you ever told a friend or a family member that you didn't like their significant other? How did it go? I told my sister she could do better while she was dating her last boyfriend. He didn't treat her well, and I thought she would appreciate the input, but no, not at all. She gave me the silent treatment for 2 weeks, and when the guy betrayed her, like I predicted, guess who she came to for support? Of course I was there for her, but I had swallowed my urge to say told you so. She knows. She's embarrassed she didn't listen. I told one of my very best friends that her husband hit on me. She hasn't spoken to me since. Even though she found out he was cheating and he left her for the other woman, she still never spoke to me again. It still breaks my heart to think about. I miss her so much even though it's been almost 20 years. We were friends since we were kids. People are petty and it's difficult to resolve the longer you go on, because that pettiness turns into resentment and you also lose that closeness simultaneously. Cherish the good times you've had with anyone, regardless of how it ended. Not even the end result can take away the good times. I told my best friend that her new boyfriend had significant red flags and that I was very concerned. I said, just for my own personal moral reasons I feel I must tell you this. After I walk through my concerns, I won't say anything else and will support your choices. And that's exactly what I did. He ended up being an incredibly manipulative, cruel man. She left him, and she still talks about how I handled it initially and is glad I didn't hurt our friendship in the process, so I could be there to weather the storm with her. Honestly, I think that's the best way to word it in almost any scenario, offering counsel but being supportive of their decision. My roommate at the time was dating this girl who came off as a total psycho. When she cheated on him, I told him how I really felt about her. Then they got back together and he told her what I said, and she told him he couldn't talk to me. Then she cheated on him again. I told my lifelong best friend that her boyfriend of a year was a piece of shit and the way he treated her, talked to her, and made her feel was not okay, healthy, or normal. She agreed with me, but loved him. They stayed together for at least 4 or 5 more years while he continued to abuse her and drain the life from her. She finally left, thank God, but she hasn't been the same. She probably thought or didn't believe he was that bad or doubted that he was, because why on earth would anybody treat you like shit if they love you? I had voiced my concerns about my best friend's then girlfriend. Even up to his wedding day when I stood as his best man. Before she came out and walked down the aisle I was telling him, hey man, it isn't too late. You can bounce and I'll deal with the folks here. Well, we didn't talk much for 2 years after the wedding and they got divorced by year 3. He is with an awesome woman now, and I was the officiant for their wedding. We hiked up a mountain and said their vows as the sun rose. Something his ex would never have done. Holy shit. How bad was the ex-wife that you had to say that on their wedding day? I massively dislike my sister's long-term boyfriend. He's moody, incapable of even the smallest small talk, demanding, lazy, and loud. My sister knows I don't like him, but it's her boyfriend, and she's mostly happy with him, so we just don't talk about him anymore. Opposite. My parents hated who I married, saying he was using me for $. Married 23 years and have 0 savings. My inheritance is gone. They were 100% right. I'm filing for divorce. Money is one of many reasons. My cousins on my dad's side, my 2 best friends, they never liked him once they got to know him. It's embarrassing to me that I married him, stayed this long, let him nearly ruin my life. The only good thing is our son. It's hard to believe abusive, dysfunctional parents. But now that they are dead, everything they said about him was 100% correct, including he cheats on me. Not directly. It never goes well directly. Yup. And even once they break up you gotta be careful cause they might end up back together very soon. I didn't like the woman my brother was dating in college and told him so. I tried to pick a moment where it was just us and lay out some reasons about how she treated him. He basically reacted like I was stabbing him with knives. They broke up after a couple years and he later admitted I was right, so there's that. No, because I've always been walking on eggshells. This. Currently with my brother's girlfriend that is a selfish person that can't behave properly. Yes. At first, it was total chaos. They didn't want to hear what we discovered. This guy was posting on neo-Nazi sites, was the bad news we shared, and there was a lot of what does that really mean and that can't be true going on. She was sweet, naive, young, they friends in common and shared interests, along with a very quick timeline from meeting to married. They were married, and now they are not. Years have passed at this point and she doesn't miss him or that old crowd. It took a while, but she says she's glad we told her and glad she got away from him when she did. How do you even discover something like that? I made absolutely no effort to hide my utter contempt for my ex-brother-in-law. He was the kind of dude who seeks out a law enforcement career because he feels like it would give him the respect he was incapable of earning on his own. Also just a huge racist piece of shit. My sister never really reacted until they were divorced when suddenly it made so much sense why I was constantly antagonistic towards him. I constantly tell many of my girlfriends about it, directly into their faces, if I see something wrong with their other half. And later, all my guesses and thoughts turned out to be true, so now they listen to me. And then everyone clapped. I told a friend in college that I didn't like her BF. She ignored it and we acted as if I never mentioned it. Our friendship continued for many years after that, even after I found that she hid his dirty secret from everyone until her family, many of whom used to look up to him, and we later disconnected due to a new friend in our circle who liked to poke around people's vulnerabilities and secrets, and set them against each other, and our friendship couldn't survive that. I mentioned to a couple of aunts that I don't like their husbands. They were like, even I don't like him. No one likes him, totally nonchalant. Yeah, I'm the honest brother. I told my sister that her fiancé was as useful as balls on a dildo. She asked why. I told her a list of my observations. They had a kid, my observations came true, they broke up, he hasn't had a job in years, and lives with his mom. Sister's high school boyfriend was abusive and every member of our family tried to tell her. Her response would be what I've since learned is very typical of someone in that situation. She would get extremely defensive of him, his home life, that made him act like that we didn't know what we were talking about, etc. I wish I knew then that this was a common way survivors respond during the abuse. She eventually left him when she went to college. Never said it out loud, but it's apparent that she knows we were looking out for her and wishes she listened. If I ever see that dude again, I will accept whatever charges I get for breaking him on the pavement. Not really told her so much as told him. My sister had a guy hanging around while she was married. I told was close to her now ex-husband, and I quite loudly confronted the shorter gentleman and told him he looked like a homeless hobbit and that he better have a preference for sausages because my sister is married. Obviously I have adjusted the latter portion, though homeless hobbit was exactly what I said. I repeated this a few times. Sister confessed to ex-Bill she didn't love him anymore. She wanted another kid. He said we can't afford one right now. She had a kid with the hobbit though, didn't marry him. He's a great dad to my niece and I'm now closer to him than my sister or her ex, though still can't say we are friends. I told my brother that I wasn't a fan of his girlfriend once. He beat me up. She ended up being horrible. Sounds like your brother and GF are well suited. I did once and it didn't go well. It never goes well. People just need to find out for themselves if someone is a good egg or not. I have had a fair number of friends who have been in relationships with people who were using, abusing, or otherwise being controlling and shitty. I have been the reason for a lot of breakups because I am always willing to risk losing a friendship if it means telling someone they deserve better and letting them know an outside perspective. I'd say it's been around a dozen that I know of in the last decade. And there is obviously consideration that goes into it. I know from experience that someone trying to survive an abusive situation isn't going to hear what you're saying, for a variety of reasons. But I make my thoughts known, and to the point that I've had people in my wider social circles specifically seek me out to talk to me about their relationships. And not just romantic ones. It is nerve-wracking, but it's worth it. And I get to see so many people I care about blossom after they realize that they do deserve better. This is the way. It's what people around me should have done, and I will always do it for people in the future, even at the cost of deep relationships. My daughter is now back in my life and safe after leaving her abuser, even though she had withdrawn from me entirely after I let her know what I was seeing from the outside. Told my best friend that his girlfriend was shitty to him, that I thought he deserved better, and to please not include me when they are hanging together because I couldn't hold my tongue around her any longer while she abused my friend right in front of me. They dated for 2 years before breaking up, and were both single 4 years after that before they ended up back together. However, they sat down and talked about the reasons why they broke up, identified the reasons they were terrible for each other, and both committed to therapy to become better people to themselves and to each other. Friend was so worried about my reaction when he told me they were back together, but I couldn't be more pleased to hear about the frank and mature discussion they had, their commitment to therapy and becoming better people. They've been back together for years at this point, and I actually enjoy hanging out with them both again. They're happy. I'm happy. Not outright, but I have made it very clear over the years that I do not like my brother's wife. Brother, bless his heart, is oblivious enough that he hasn't noticed. Rest of the family has, and I've been told to be nicer to her, which is not happening. Like, I could probably straight up tell him that I think she's taking advantage of him and get nowhere, so why try? Rest of the family is fine with her? In short, ranging from bad to zero impact. The whole family, as well as many of his friends, expressed concern to my brother when he got engaged for the second time at age 29. He was just recently divorced from his HS sweetheart at the time, so a lot of the push was don't rush into things, but there was also some heartfelt this person doesn't seem like they're very kind to you, and are you sure you're the best fit for marriage? Fast forward 10 years, he gets divorced with 2 kids. She's a complete nightmare and has been wildly manipulative and abusive and unkind, and he's already eyeing another engagement to someone who's unemployed and has severe mental health issues. People are gonna do what they want, and sadly some things just never change. My ex in a drunken stupor told his friend that he's known all his life that he should leave his wife cause she's fat. The friend kicked him out of the house and never spoke to him again. When my ex died, his ex-friend didn't even go to the funeral,